I am physically based in the Midlands of Ireland at the moment, at home, but my real workplace is Maynooth University, which is just outside of Dublin. I've been involved with EuroSDR now for many years, and it gives me great pleasure to invite some of my former colleagues from previous workshops to this workshop today. So I am the moderator for this session. As Bettina's slide says here in front of you, the general rules that we are all familiar with from online in the last couple of months apply. Please mute microphones just to prevent background noise. Video should be turned off except if you're the presenter. The place to ask questions is actually in the chat window, which is down at the bottom right left-hand corner. I will monitor the chat window, and in the presentation time after a presentation is finished, I will select one or more of the questions for discussion. And of course, there's an opportunity to private message the or talk afterwards on Slack about this. So without further ado, it gives me great pleasure to hand over presentation rights to Magdalena. And let me just make you presenter, Magdalena, and give you the opportunity to share your screen. You have 10 minutes, and I will give you some notice with around 2 minutes to go. So the only other voice that you should hear is mine with 2 minutes to go. So good morning, Magdalena.
Good morning, Peter. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me well?
Yes, very well.
Okay, great. I see my camera is not on, but it's not a big deal, of course. Okay. Yeah, webcam is not short. Anyway, I will start with my presentation. 10 minutes is really short. I have a lot to tell. So my name is Magdalena Gross. I'm working for the Dutch Kadaster. I'm an advisor for the product and process innovation. So I have quite a lot of space to get nice projects, to make nice projects. Shortly, I have to check how does it work. Yes, okay. Shortly, what do we do as Kadaster? Then I would like to introduce some VGI initiatives, and I have also some recommendations. So shortly, Kadaster is we will register real estate, but also topography, ships, and aircraft. With topography, we make maps on different scale. And we manage different registration from other partners. Think about registry for the buildings and addresses, cables and pipelines of energy labels. I would like to concentrate today on two initiatives. We made quite a lot of VGI projects, but because of the time, I would like to concentrate on those two. One is a user feedback system, and the second is crowdsourcing at school. With the user feedback system, we start with this idea time ago, a few years ago, but why it's not completely new, but why I would like to share with you, because it's after years, it's really evolved. And we started with idea, okay, if we have our products like topographical maps, and we would like to get feedback from our users, why not to do it in the user-friendly way? So we ask our users, we provide some program to give a feedback, and ask our users, if you notice any mistake or some problems on the map, please let us know as soon as possible. And then with your feedback, with your input, we can improve our products, and you as a final user will get better products. So because of the involvement of community, we that is kind of co-creation. We make these products together. It's a beautiful program. We started with one pilot from the key register topography that Kadaster is fully responsible for. But later on, another municipalities, provinces, water boards, ministries said, okay, we would like to have it as well. So we introduced this feedback system for more products. But because our users mostly don't know, okay, BGT, BRT, what does it mean exactly? What does it say, this short name? So we thought, well, if we will provide feedback system, it has to be very simple to use. So the user doesn't know what kind of product they make give a feedback. But by zooming in, zooming out, they can share their findings with us. And depend on what a product they make a feedback, the certain body is receive the information, and the certain body can also, the municipality or Kadaster can make a step to improve those mistakes. Another very interesting for me, I hope for you as well, program was crowdsourcing at schools. Once a year, we one of as organization with governmental organization, we share our experience with geoinformation science with pupils, with schools. So we made a curriculum with idea. Okay, let's kids also improve maps, but next to improve, also to find some objects that can be very important. For example, for emergency services. For example, for the emergency services, they use our topographical products, but they say, well, Kadaster, actually, we need also some information about the obstacles on the road, because you provide a very nice, very updated product about the roads, but there are some details like obstacles on the roads that are really crucial for us, but we cannot see it on the map. So we make a curriculum for the kids and ask kids, would you help us go outside, take your smartphones, and just find obstacles on the road, because with your data, with your input, we can help others. So believe me, the reaction was amazing, and kids were really involved. So every year we introduce this curriculum to kids, and every year with big success. So that was the campaign, creating maps together. So what is important about that, it is not only to collect data by the kids, but in this project, children practice their geographical orientation, but they also this is also about their position in the society. So because of this lesson, we also let them know how important part of our society they are. So they can play with different games, but they can also provide very crucial, very valuable data to our product. And if we think about the sustainability, for example, how we can be sure that every year you can get same information, same data. If, for example, it would be a part of program at school, like part of geography, then every year there will be a group of children who will look for the data. So every year you will have a fresh data from different group of kids. And because, for example, like you see on the right side, there's quite a lot of schools, basic school and elementary schools and high schools in the Netherlands. You see that the country is covered. So that is one of the idea.
Magdalena, you have 2
Yeah.
minutes left.
Oh, that is very short. That's why I will run. Another idea was let kids spot the sensors. We made an application. Kids were collecting the sensor from around their schools, and together with kids, so we saw the results. So exactly the same idea. Just let kids be part of our society. Let them see the world. Let's make the geography fun. Because 2 minutes, I have maybe 1 minute left. I would like to recommend one book. And Peter, you stay also one of the co-authors, Mapping and the Citizen Sensor. And we in the chapter 13 there was some we shared our experience from VGI and the mapping agencies. So if you are interested, you can read more about it. It's not a new one. It was 2-3 years ago, but I think it's really nice book for inspiration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Magdalena. That's perfectly on time. I can see a few people are typing into the chat, but I have a question. Yap Willem is asking, if you want to learn more about the user's feedback system, it's more of a statement, sorry, you can join a further session at 2 p.m. today. Just in the absence of other questions, I may have missed it in an earlier slide, but how many school children were involved completely in this?
We introduced this program for the last 3-4 years. And every time we give lessons, it is like 2 weeks of sharing information from government to the kids. And every year we have around 9-10 schools. Depends on the year, of course. But yeah, that is something we repeat every year. But actually, it would be perfect if you can make an online course and make it school to use it every time they need it. So there are some ideas now to also question to the ministry. Are you open to receive online lessons and to provide it to the schools?
And Rob has a question there.
Yeah.
Is the information about sensors also used outside of the schools?
Yes, actually, the information about the sensors, the project we are now working on. We would like to Kadaster register sensors in the Netherlands. It's not about the data the sensor are catching, but it's more about, okay, who is the owner of the sensor, where is the sensor, the location, and who stay behind the sensor, and with what aim is the sensor hanging on the lamppost, for example. So as a Kadaster, we would like to make it visible for everyone, make a viewer with all the information. So the information for the sensor would like to provide to everyone, but of course there will be always some sensor not registered, and then we can also ask not only kids but also other societies. Like we can provide kind of feedback system again, but in this case, please help us map all the sensors that are in your neighborhood.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think that's the question time used up, unless there's something very quickly someone can type into the chat. I'd ask a virtual thank you to Magdalena. That's a very fast and an excellent presentation, and thank you for the contribution.
Thank you very much.
I will now hand over to our next presenter, which is Iwa, which I think is logged on somewhere there. I see you in the list, so I will promote you now to presenter, Iwa, and this will give you an opportunity to slides and share your camera.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's the same problem with camera, I see. I don't know why. Yeah, I cannot share the camera. Let's see with the screen. I see an error. There is no access to the screen. Oops. Yeah, I see a red error.
Okay, I can't see an error from this side. I can see your mouse moving.
Yeah. So I can, yeah, it says error. Do you mind if I join the session once again?
No problem, no problem.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I'm back. I will try to, yeah, if you can unblock me, I will try to.
No problem. Okay.
Yeah, it's the same error. I don't know why.
So if you want to send me your presentation, I could present it here, and you can tell me how to move the slides forward and backwards.
Okay,
I will just put my email in the chat there.
Oh.
Peter?
Yes?
On my screen, Eva is still locked.
Yeah, once again and go to.
Okay.
Yeah, it seems like it's not working. Oh, now camera is working. What? Yeah, the camera is on. But I cannot share the screen.
Okay, we can see your camera now.
Yes. But I don't see I had this little screen showing that I am the presenter now, so maybe that's the problem.
You have presenter mode. Perhaps, Bettina, you can just check that Ewa has presenter mode. I'm pretty sure she has.
Yes, she's got a little sign on her name.
Yes, but I cannot share the screen, unfortunately. But I don't even tap my PowerPoint yet, so it's not a problem with the PowerPoint, right?
Like a sensible suggestion. So if Leah was ready, I know this is a move forward, but I can unlock you and make you presenter. And if you're ready now.
Yes, I okay. And now I try to share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yeah. So you've 10 minutes from this point, and I will remind you at 2 minutes to go.
So nice. I'm Leva, I'm from Estonia land board, and I'm responsible for the data production. The land board is a national mapping page, and we are 100% funded by the state budget. We do produce data centralized way. Someone's mic is on. It's very disturbing. Someone is typing. Okay. And the data in Estonia is open data. So, as you can see from the screen, we have a national map application already for 20 years. And as long as I can recall, we have a feedback option here. So, and we get also feedback for all the kind of data for the base map, also for addresses and parcel boundaries, and for thematic data, which is from the other agents. So we have to select the type of data and feedback, and to forward sometimes. Here you can see an overview of the active feedback. If the feedback has been reviewed and dealt with, the feedback is marked finished, and it kind of fades away from the map, like you can see the yellow ones somewhere in the middle. So that's the feedback from the map application. And in 2018, we launched a project aiming for once and only principle in data collection. And Kadaster started to use topographic data as a source of land use and land cover data. And cadastral land cover data is used to calculate the value of taxable value of the parcels. And as the new tax bills were released, we realized that we also unwillingly have started a national crowdsourcing project to improve the spatial data quality. So new contact points were and new workflows were implemented. And in 2 months, we answered about 10,000 questions of the landowners and corrected the land use data for 1,600 parcels. And we were having just 2 months before that land tax bills were due, so we had a very quick response. Today, the intensity has decreased, but we still kept the workflow and the process, and we now have 10 to 20 contacts per month. And we are very happy with the rise of the awareness of the land use and land cover data by the landowners and also by the other state agencies which work in tight cooperation with us, because our data has a legal influence. So if you map something, it may give a building permission, for example, in an area where the Environmental Protection Agency would not like to see some building coming up. So another case of VGI, the 100th anniversary of the Liberation War in Estonia. The public relations wanted us to do something for the social media. So we merged data from the topographic database and cultural heritage register, as well as Wikipedia's list for the Liberation War memorials. And we published them up in the social media with a call to let us know if some data is missing or some memorials are missing from the data set. So we got very fast and very accurate feedback from citizens as well as from local governments. And some communities, like the second largest island, use the news or the map to promote their effort to collect funds to build or rebuild their memorials. So our VGI project influence was far beyond our imagination, how it will be used. So the next one is probably the best and classical VGI project this year in Estonia. It's from Environmental Board. This spring, when we had this stay at home, and it turned in commercial stay in your garden and grow your own food, people discovered that after a mild winter, an invasive Spanish slug has overtaken their gardens and greeneries. And the people demanded immediate help from the state environmental board to fight this slug. And environmental board tried to explain that the measures can be only taken if they are studied the spread and the size of the population of the slug, and that such studies include extensive field work and can take some years even. But Estonians, as citizens of a digital state, they were not satisfied with this plan. And in a few months, the Environmental Board came up with a map application ready to collect the data needed for the study. And with the help of the volunteers and some, the data is collected. And some measures are already taken by the local governments to address this using this data. And the final, we have 2 projects we are working on, we're starting now. These are hiking paths in the nature protection areas. You can visit the areas only if you stay on these paths. So, but these paths are very difficult to map. You can't see them very well from the aerial photography. So we are using the data of the path signs and information boards collected by volunteers to find the paths still missing in our topographic database. It's kind of indirect way of getting spatial data from volunteers. And the second one is an attempt to map springs. It is in a cooperation with universities and schools, and it's also an indirect project. The schools and the universities are going to measure the water quality or investigate this kind of questions, but we get information that the spring is there, that it still is working and the water is there. So, and the university is very interested that we take part because they have had this experiments previously that if they collect data and it doesn't end up somewhere in a national data set, or then it's in someone's computer and will get lost or will be not there in 10 years. So they were interested that all the data will be stored in our database as well. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Leah. That was perfectly on time. You still have about 2 minutes if you needed to say anything additionally to your presentation. There's no questions typed in yet, but the question I would have is, how did you find the introduction of crowdsourcing in general? Was there a lot of resistance within the organization, or was it a more open approach? Or what was your feelings around the personality introduction to crowdsourcing rather than technical?
Yeah, there's an issue with the trust, whether we can trust the information we got from the crowdsourcing. So we have experience and we share it with the new projects also, how to take pictures, for example, how to take the pictures of the object so you that you can see the surroundings and you can better understand that's the real object or that's the object we are talking about. So yeah, but the trust issue is also there with the stereo operator or mapping operators in our own organizations. You have to trust the people that they do, as we have agreed in or as is written in guidelines. So the issue of trust is definitely there, but yeah. Okay.
A question from Jaap Willem in the chat. He asks, what is the most successful project you've had, and what is it? What is the ingredient that makes that successful?
I think probably the land use and land cover. The success is about the knowledge or that the people know where the data is coming from and how they can influence it, and how easy it is to contact us and how easy it is to get your stuff sorted. So they are very pleased with this digital approach. I wrote you an email and in 10 days, probably the change is on the map application base map and you can see, yes, the change is made. So kind of the trust goes both ways now.
Peter, you are muted.
Apologies. I'm going to be too courteous. How many volunteers were involved in the checking of the national monuments status?
Just a few, because we missed just a few. I think about 10, 20, not more. Just the locals who knew that their monument wasn't so.
And did those volunteers provide photographs or images?
Yeah, photographs, and also we had a local government which was just rebuilding a monument, and they sent us coordinates and said that yeah, they have a project, even or building project. Yeah, that you can see we were building this one, so they're very, very interested to get their own monument there as well.
Okay, thank you. So in the absence of any other questions, we will say thank you and a virtual thanks from the watching audience. Thanks again for jumping in a few minutes early. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next step is to invite the next speaker on the timetable. So Sakeri Savola from NLS Finland. So I'll unlock you first and now make you a presenter.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Sakeri, so I will give you a little notice with 2 minutes to go.
Okay, thank you. I try to arrange my webcam and the screen so that I can show my face, but we'll see if it works. Okay, good morning, everybody. I will now tell you a little bit about our experiments on crowdsourcing at the National Land Survey of Finland. And my presentation is only about this one project, because that's the only ongoing crowdsourcing project we have at the moment. Check. Okay, so we are building this new address data system at the moment at the National Land Survey of Finland. The core of the data system are the addresses for buildings and for parcels that are produced by municipalities. But when we started the project, we found out that the more accurate information is also needed for many use cases. We need information about the entrances and about the waypoints, how to get to one building or to one entrance. And this kind of data is not available in public sources, and it won't be possible to collect all the data of entrances in a short time, because there's millions of entrances in Finland. And that's why we decide to try crowdsourcing for data collection. And for this purpose, we developed a web service called Osoite Harvey, address net in English. And this web service was published in late 2019 in a beta mode, and it's still in a beta mode, and we are now collecting experiences. What kind of data we are now collecting for volunteers? Addresses of entrances, and it means that we have a point geometry for entrance, then door identifier, for example AB, or then apartment 1, 2, or such, and then a type of entrance, if it's a main entrance to a corridor, or if it's a main entrance to a public building or something like that. Then we are collecting this waypoint data, which shows how to get to an entrance or to an address. And the waypoints have a point geometry, waypoint type for example, if the waypoint is the crossing from the road network to the yard, and then it can have a travel restriction, which tells if it's meant for cars or for pedestrians or something like that. Then we are also collecting pictures of these kind of guide boards you can see on the slide. These are like maps of the addresses. And then users can also leave feedback about the addresses of buildings in the web service. If there is a missing address or if there is something wrong in the address. Now, all this information is linked to the official addresses by the municipalities. There's a picture of the landing page of the web service, and then one picture of the user interface. This is the part where part of the service where people can locate the entrances and the waypoints in the map and give the information needed. You can see that there's one address, Vemmelsäaren tie 6 in Espoo municipality, and somebody has saved exactly 21 entrances and 2 waypoints to this address. This is how the web service looks like. Okay, a little bit about the experiences. Also, the Harvey web service is now in the beta phase. In total, we have collected 7,600 entrances and 3,000 waypoints. Some of these are actually saved by our own personnel, but still there is thousands of points from the ordinary citizens. Now we are evaluating how the concept work, analyzing the data quality, and developing the processes. The data quality seems mainly good. Of course, there's some misunderstandings. People have saved something that is not exactly what we have meant, but they are just like the single cases, and they are really small percentage. What we think helps to the data quality is this identification that we are using. Everybody has to identify themselves in the service. We are not saving the identification information in the database, but it can be found from the logs. Then we have the status for the data, if it's saved by citizen or this kind of accredited users, and these accredited users can be personnel from municipalities, for example. Then we are doing some quality checks before we are synchronizing the data from also the Harvey service to the main database, and this we are doing using cookies. We are, for example, some kind of analysis how far away the points are from the buildings, and then we are also checking the door identifiers if they are what they should be. But of course we can't know everything. If the point is not in the right location, it's quite hard to see from the if you don't know the actual address. I think in the future we have to do some kind of validation for the data, or some kind of check some data more carefully, what the data quality is. Then we had this kind of campaigns in social media. For example, in summer we had a campaign in Facebook titled "Take care of your favorite places," and it seems that this kind of social media campaigns are activating people quite well. People are checking if their address information is correct, and they are also saving them the entrances and waypoints. And then this feedback process is working also well. So if users are leaving feedback on the addresses of buildings, we are checking them in National Land Survey of Finland, and then sending them to the municipalities. We have a list of the personnel who are working with the address information in municipalities, and then we are processing the feedback and then sending it to them. And I think this process works pretty well. No, we have also some issues.
You have 2 minutes.
Okay, I think I can do it. Okay. So the role of volunteered geographic information in the address data system is now under consideration. There is some concerns about the data quality. We don't have them, but so much, but some of the our other people, for example, in municipalities, they have some concerns. Then there's also some issues with the privacy and in security things. If it's okay to save somebody else's entrance in the system or not, how the people will feel this. Do they feel unsafe if their entrance is saved in the system, and these kind of issues. I still think that the crowdsourcing is only maybe viable method to gather this big data set that we need of existing entrances. Then the role of the authorities in validation and data collection is under consideration. How much we will validate the data? Will we check everything? And how much the authorities can collect the data? That must be considered. And if we will continue with the crowdsourcing, I think we need a mobile version of also the Harvey. Nowadays, so people are so much using, for example, the social media with the mobile phones, and when they see our advertisement in Facebook, for example, they would like to save the information or use also the Harvey right after that, and now they have to use iPad or a tablet or a table computer, and that's one problem. Okay, thanks. That was everything I wanted to say this time.
Great, thank you. So there are, Magdalena had a question about quality, but you answered it in your slide previous to the last. Rob Lemons has a question about patterns. Do you see specific geographical areas where people are more engaged or more keen to report?
Yes, there's differences. For example, in Espoo area, I don't know why, but there is the density of the data is much higher than in other municipalities. I think maybe there is people who are working in the National Land Survey of Finland, or then there is engineers and this kind of people who are interested in this kind of applications. Maybe that's one reason. Then, of course, in some areas there has been really active persons who have saved the whole area, some small area, but all the information from one area, and then some small municipality or one small area can be really high in our ranks for that reason at the moment when we don't have that much information yet.
Okay, and a follow-on from that question from Rob, can can you actually see the effects of these campaigns in a clear and meaningful way?
Yes, we can of course see how much data we get to the web service, but when we also have this kind of monitoring in our web pages, so we can see. I think we can also get from the Facebook how many people have clicked the links, but then we also can see how many people have visited our web pages, and then we can see how many of them have actually saved something in the service.
Okay.
So we can actually get quite good information of that.
Thank you very much. There is one person typing a question, but I'm not sure if it's going to come true or not. I'll just wait a moment. It's a piece of praise. Leah, the previous presenter, saying that they